Alright, hello there my two current and fabulous 5th graders. So this is Unit 1 in your book. I believe this is page 1, right? Yeah, this is page 1 in your book. So go ahead, be sure you're on this page with me. Unit 1 is on a whole number operations and applications. So what you can do with whole numbers is applications. We're going to start with volume, and then we're going to go into multiplication and division. So you're going to start with this self-check right here. This is what we're learning in this unit. So you're going to go through this list and read every item, and if you feel like you can already do that, you're going to go ahead and give a check mark. If you don't get any check marks, that's okay, because that's what we're learning. So hopefully by the end, you'll be able to give all the check marks over here. So go ahead and pause your video and do that now. Alright, are you unpaused? I hope you filled out that list, because here's what we're doing. We're going to start with our vocabulary. And we've got a whole bunch of blanks, but I'm going to make you use all this vocabulary, so we might as well review it now. Okay, so now our review words are dividend. Let me get out my highlighter. Use my pink one. Dividend, divisor, factor, product, quotient, and remainder. These are all multiplication and division vocabulary words. So if you feel like you can do this without me, I would really love it if you pause this and try to fill this out without me. Regardless, I'm going to fill it out right now as well. So see if you can figure anything, see if you can figure any of these out without me before I do it. But otherwise, here I'm going to dive right in. First, I hope that you know that the answer to a multiplication problem is called a product. And I'm going to cross that on my list. And I hope that you know, because I use these words a lot, that the answer to a division problem is called a quotient. In fact, there are more than one place for these, aren't they? Yeah, quotient. So I guess I shouldn't have crossed them out. Answer to a multiplication problem is the product. And the answer to a division problem is the quotient. And you probably know that the number left over from a division problem that goes stuck out to the side is the remainder. I'm sure you've heard that one before. Alright, so now we've got quotient used and remainder used. The words we have left are divisor, dividend, and factor. You can probably guess that divisor and dividend go with the division. But what you may not remember is which one goes where. So the dividend is what we're cutting up. So that goes in there, but it's also the first one in this format of problem, dividend. That's think of that as the pizza that we're sharing. And the divisor is what we're dividing by. You can think of that as the friends that you have to share with. You gotta share that pizza with your friend. You cannot eat the whole thing. I know you want to, but I forbid it. Neener, neener. Okay. And then, so all we have left up here is factor. And in a multiplication problem, they don't have different names. Like in the division problem, you have to have a divisor and a dividend, but in the multiplication problem, they're both factor. And the reason for that is the commutative property, which hopefully you've heard of, which means that you can switch them. So in a division problem, you can't just flip these around. They gotta stay where they gotta stay. But you know that 3 times 2 is the same thing as 2 times 3. So the factors can flip back and forth. That's why they don't need different names, because of the commutative property. And yes, I do expect you to remember that forever, until you're old and gray, and then you can forget it. Okay, so when you divide the dividend, so the dividend, because the dividend is what you divide, that's a pizza. The dividend is 72, and you're going to divide it by the divisor of 8. Then the quotient is 9, because 72 divided by 8 is 9. Okay, so please check the box next to the academic, I can't even say academic now, goodness sakes. Please check a box next to the academic words you know. Then use the words in the sentence. So think about, these are like our discussion type of words. These aren't specific to math, these are our discussion words. So these words here are reasonable. Do you know what it means to be reasonable? Do you know what a result is? Do you know what it means to justify something? And you know what a reason is? I have a feeling that you know at least that one. Okay, so I'm going to help you with these, regardless of whether or not you know them. You must blank your answer to prove it's correct. Ooh, so in order to prove it, you must justify it. Justify means you're like explaining it, but with reasons. The blank of multiplying two numbers is called a product. So that's the answer, and you know, answer and result, those are very similar words. So the result of multiplying two numbers, two factors, is the product. She is a blank person. She is fair and sensible. She is a reasonable person, or she is a reason person? I'm going to go with reasonable. Fair and sensible. Fair and sensible. Makes sense. Reasonable makes sense. I'm going to be doing this a lot this year. I'm going to be making you take notes in your book so that you don't need a separate notebook or note page. You can have one if you want to, but I have always had better luck, even as a college student, with taking notes in my book. So always add the notes. If I write it down, you write it down. That's the way it works, right? When you make sense of a problem, you reason. So you were probably thinking of reason as a noun, like this is my reason for doing things. The reason that I ate all the cookies is because I felt like it. But this is reason as a verb. I am, so what's another sentence I could use that in? Well, there's one right here. When you make sense of a problem, you reason, and you use what you know to help solve it. So it's an action in this case. You can have a reason, and you can reason as something you're doing. Okay, that's your little intro. Now, we're going to move on to lesson 1. And I ready, you tested I ready last year. I remember. Okay, so if you're one of my 2 5th graders, you already did I ready last year. You know a lesson lasts about a week. So, we're going to be exploring volume. Volume is the amount of space inside a solid figure. We're going to be doing a lot of highlighting on this page because there's a lot of good vocabulary here. So a solid figure is another word for a 3D figure. 3D figure. A unit cube is a cube. That's why it's called a unit cube, because it's a cube. It's one unit on each edge used to measure volume. So you already learned last year, or even the year before, I remember I used to teach it to 3rd graders, that the area of a plane, and I want to emphasize plane, when they say plane figure, they mean 2D figure. 2D, flat. That's what a plane figure is. Such as a rectangle. You learn how to find the area of a plane figure, such as a rectangle, by covering it with unit squares. So you have a rectangle, and you just went 1, 2, 3, 4. It's 4 squared units. Now we're going to step it up. We're going to go 3-dimensional. So we're learning to find the volume of a solid figure. Did it say solid up here? Yes, solid figure. Let's highlight that again so we remember. Solid figure, such as a cube. So up here we were doing a rectangle. Down here we're doing a cube. By filling it with unit cubes. Volume is the number of unit cubes needed to fill a solid figure. The cube at the right has 8 cubic units, so it's literally 8 cubes. 1 cube, 2 cubes, 3 cubes, 4 cubes, 5 cubes, 6 cubes, 7 cubes, and then there's an eighth one down in this corner right here. So 8 cubic units to make that. And you can also think of volume as how much is inside something. So I'm going to draw it here, a carton of milk, to remind you that the volume is how much fits inside something. There's my carton of milk. I was going to draw a jug of milk, but I didn't think I could pull it off. So volume is how much you can get. Let's say this is a quart. No, a pint. No, a liter. Let's do quart. I don't know if that's what a quart looks like. A quart of milk. And then this would be flat. Something like paper. I'm not even going to draw the 2D one. You can figure, you already know that stuff. Each unit cube in the solid figures A and B to the right has a volume of 1 cubic unit. To find which figure has the greater volume, you can just count them. Just count the cubes. Figure A is 25. Figure B is 9. Figure A has a bigger volume because, you know, it's bigger. That's really all there is to it. It's bigger. Okay, so here's a little activity that you are going to do without me, and then you're going to come back. This one to do with your grown-ups. So a solid figure with 6 rectangular sides is called a rectangular prism. So you're going to work with your parent on this one. Pause it and come back when you are done. I'm not going to show you the answers. I'm going to jump right up here. So go ahead and pause, and I will be right here when you come back. Ready? Pause. Okay, unpause. Did you unpause? I don't know. Maybe I'm lost. Okay. So lesson 1 today, we're exploring volume. And it says model it. So here's our models. Beautiful. A plane figure is a 2-dimensional figure, so it's flat. Explain how to measure the area of the plane figure using square units. So we have our 1 square unit. And what we'd want to do is we could cut it out and we could place it over here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. And don't forget, when it says explain, it wants you to do that because you're going to be asked to do that a lot, so you might as well practice it now, right? So you could cover it and count the unit squares that it takes to cover it. I hope your writing is nicer than mine in here, although this part's your notes, so if it's sloppy, it's okay. Okay, a solid figure is now 3 dimensions, so solid, not plane anymore, solid. The volume of a solid figure is the amount of space that fits inside, so like how much air could fit in there, how much milk could fit in there, how much apple juice could fit in there. And a unit cube is whatever 1 unit is. If it's a 1-inch unit cube, it's going to be 1 inch, 1 inch, 1 inch. If it's a centimeter, it's going to be smaller. If it's a mile unit, it's going to be much bigger. So we're going to see how many fit in here, do you think? Well, 1, 2, I think this is another 8, because it's going to go 2 across here, 2 across here, so let's just say it's 8. We're just estimating on this one. Okay, so now we've got some models below. A rectangular prism is a solid figure with 6 rectangular sides or faces. So think of a die. That's a rectangular prism. It's also a cube. A cube is a rectangular prism. Spoiler alert. Let's see. Like my die, it's beautiful. So that's a cube is a type of, and yes, you do have to write this down, rectangular prism. It's just like a square is a type of rectangle, a cube is a type of rectangular prism. Circle the diagram that you think shows the correct way to use unit cubes to measure volume of a rectangular prism. Cross out the incorrect way, then explain your choice. Well, my students are pretty clever, so I'm going to guess you've already figured out this way. There's no dice. You can't keep, because look, there's empty spaces. These empty spaces. This one's good. Way 2 is tidy. You're going to be hearing that word a lot this year. Tidy. Math is a lot easier when it's tidy. So way 2 is tidy and doesn't leave gaps. If you leave gaps, you're not measuring the gaps, right? There you go. Don't get period at the end of your sentence. It must be proper. Okay. A unit cube is said to have 1 cubic unit of volume. Cubic units are used to measure the volume of a solid figure. What is the volume of each unit cube inside of the rectangular prism in problem 3? So what how many cubes are there? You can probably figure that out. Go ahead. You can see if you can beat me at it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. Did you beat me? I don't know. What is the volume of the rectangular prism? That's the same answer, right? What is the volume of each unit cube inside of the rectangular prism? Oh, wait. It's 1 for this one. Each one is 1, for goodness sakes. And altogether there's 12. See, I can't figure this out. Goodness sakes. Each one is 1. But then altogether there's 12. Silly me. Okay, reflect. Why do you use cubic units instead of square units to find the volume of a solid figure? Why do you think that is? Well, I'm going to give you a hint, but I'm not going to give you the answer. I want you to fill this one out on your own. So remember, a square is 2D. And its volume, 2D. Is it? I don't know. A cube is 3D. So I want you to use those concepts in your answer. Give me a complete sentence there. And then what you're going to do is you've got your green practice pages. I don't know if you remember this from last year or not, but green means you do it. So you got page 7 and page 8. And then we'll go back to blue pages with me tomorrow. So if you need anything, you know how to email me, message me, or you can text me, or you can message me on Canvas. I will get all of those. But if you need anything, let me know. Otherwise, good luck.